Many small voluntary-led approved housing bodies in rural counties like my own County Clare provide fantastic standards of housing for the communities in which they are rooted, and are very concerned about losing that local connection, which none of us want to see happening if at all possible. Two questions for you. How do you see the smaller local AHBs operation in the future? Is it department policy to merge them with large organisations like Settle being the only viable, sustainable future pathway for these small AHBs?
Yeah. So thanks for your question. The first thing I would say is we published last November an AHB sectoral forum report that details our engagement with the sector across all levels. So these are the large, medium and small AHBs that you were talking about, to look at what the future looks like for AHBs. I think firstly the department would recognise that there's a huge value in the small local AHBs who provide an incredible service for their communities. They're doing a great job and we want them to continue doing a great job, particularly in the care and support area for older people, people with a disability. So they're crucial. But we do need to have them on a sustainable footing going forward. There's no doubt that they are handling much larger amounts of money that would have been involved previously, and we need to make sure that the governance is correct for the size of organisation that they are and that they want to be. If they want to grow, we want them to grow in the right way. If they want to stay the same size, then that's fine too. They'll make their own choices, but we want to enable all levels to grow if they do wish to, because we want more social housing for particularly the care and support sector to be thriving. So what we would say in that report is some of them will need to look at merger if that's the thing that keeps them going, if that's the thing that makes them sustainable into the future, and some may not because they don't have any desire to grow. And as long as they're being governed properly, we have no difficulty with that. But if you wish to grow, it may be one of the avenues that you need to look at. We're doing some projects in the department at the moment to look at all of the measures that were recommended coming out of that report, and one of those will be how do we foster mergers where they are the appropriate method to keep that AHB alive, and where they can work with someone who's maybe in the same sector as them, or maybe a bigger parent AHB who can help them with the governance compliance arrangements, which I do agree have gotten more complicated over the years out of necessity for the government to be sure we're spending the money responsibly. I don't know if I might bring in my colleague Vinnie Colgan, who is working on one of those projects at the moment.
Yeah, what we heard loud and clear from the AHB sector is size isn't the most important thing. There are vibrant, small, strong AHBs. There is a future for those organisations as independent, autonomous AHBs. But there are many small AHBs where the energy and local volunteerism that characterise their startup is starting to wane, and they're looking to transition their stock and their staff safely, similar to the boards of credit unions and, local community organisations, where that energy has waned and they're looking for a transition in an orderly way. We need to help those organisations, okay? So the restructuring of the sector, we don't see there being a small number of very large AHBs. If you're a healthy, vibrant, energetic, local AHB, there is a place for you, okay? And there are many structures around to support such AHBs, such as there's a VHSS, a voluntary housing shared service model in Limerick, where many small AHBs, 25 AHBs, have pooled resources so they can keep going as autonomous entities. So there's many models we're looking at to support those entities to keep going.
And we know that they are very vital, more so to rural areas, in fairness.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Now, given the level of compliance is required now for the small local AHBs, which we're all well aware of, what are your thoughts about a county-wide shared services organisation that would retain the independence of these local organisations but would centralise the compliance work for them, which I think would be very, very important? What's your views on that?
Yes.
I might defer to Vinnie on this, as he's just mentioned it.
Yeah, so Limerick has been a pilot scheme for us. We've backed it over a number of years, the voluntary housing shared service model in Limerick. 26 AHBs now availing of those services, thriving, okay, their compliance needs looked after, and we have supported that organisation with increased funding under the National Housing Plan funding model. As we're looking at a restructuring model for the whole sector, that how we can take that model and replicate it potentially across other areas of the country will be certainly taken into consideration. So absolutely, shared service model is working really, really well, and we can see it working beyond the Limerick area.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.